I'm made in Germany, born in Germany, and studied there. And then after my studies, like I want to do like an international career. So I joined Siemens, like one of the largest German companies, because I thought it gives me a lot of opportunities to travel, and that also happened. So I went through a few stations in Germany, and then I went to the Middle East for a couple of years, and then they sent me to Thailand. Um, and in Thailand, actually, one of my kids was also then actually 1 year old when we came to Thailand. And then I had a very stressy job with Siemens. I was like based in Bangkok, but traveling 3 out of 4 weeks, basically. And when my kids were
Wow.
like just kind of leaving primary school, I felt I don't want them to call me uncle, so I said, okay, let's have a break. So we
Yeah.
moved to northern Thailand because there was a really nice school for them. And, like with the sabbatical, I was flexible. And then the so-called burning season hit. Okay, so northern Thailand has 5 seasons, not 4 seasons. And the burning season is, you probably can already imagine, it's like there are a lot of wildfires. It's very dry during that time. It's not only wildfires, also like farmers burn their farming residuals from like rice fields and these kind of things.
Right.
And I was volunteering at my children's school at that time. I was always like, my background is actually finance, but I was always playing around with electronics and a teenager, basically. So I was giving robotic classes at the school. I was also parents president, just, kind of just trying to do something else from a corporate job.
Yeah.
And and then in 2019, it really hit hard, the burning season. It was really, really bad. Even today, people still remember 2019 when you talk to them here. The school already had air purifiers in the classrooms because, it's a kind of recurring thing for them. But at that time, they just didn't know, can they keep up with this hazardous smoke, and it went on for weeks and weeks, basically. So being so much involved in the school and seeing like how much the school actually struggled to manage that situation, to know which classrooms are safe, which not, how to maybe reallocate air purifier and these kind of things. And the head of school was running around. They had 1 PM meter, one port over here, and he was running around like 100 acres at campus, huge school with boarding and so on, trying to make sense of the situation. So you can already imagine, like, how much this really disturbed the whole kind of school operation. So seeing that with my background, I felt, hey, this has to be easier somehow, So together actually with my co-founder now, who is also a parent at that school, he said, okay, let's just build some monitors, together actually with students, with parents, with teachers. We integrate into like the science classes, put them into the classroom, make a simple dashboard so that the head of school can just sit on his desk and, and see basically what's going on in the school. That's kind of how we started, really as a volunteer project. And then at the same time, like, we had a really, really engaged group of parents that then also looked at what are the underlying causes, like how can we, or what can we actually do to, protect ourselves, but also to maybe like reduce that fires. So interestingly, most of these fires are actually arson. So it's a really interesting story. It's like
Interesting.
in that region here,
Wow.
there are like very expensive mushrooms growing in the forest. Think about truffles, kind of pricing. And
Yep.
at that season, when you can actually pick them, they're covered by leaves. Okay. So for the people who are trying to find them, it's actually easier to burn off the leaves in the forest to kind of find them. The mushrooms are pretty robust,
Wow.
so they kind of survive there. Maybe it even gives them a better flavor. I don't know. So so we had parents.
Roasted mushrooms. It's
Yeah.
pre-cooked.
So we had actually
Yeah.
groups of parents and also, talking to restaurants that had them on the menu and saying, hey, why don't you take them off? Because, like kind of reducing the demand, talking to supermarkets. And we're actually quite successful with this. And and I and my co-founder, we were just kind of doing more the technical stuff. And with this network, more and more schools in the region, got to know this. So they asked me like, hey, can we build these monitors ourselves as well? And I said, yeah, sure. I put up a small website, put the build instructions up there, the firmware. We also made a couple of workshops with them. And then, like I got calls from Bangkok, and then I got calls from China. And then I thought, okay, this is interesting, like that there's so much demand. And it's just by word of mouth, basically. And I could also see like, hey, I can have a massive impact with this. When you work with Siemens, like I'm not sure now, at that time they had like 300,000 employees worldwide. Okay. So even you're in management,
Wow.
your impact is very, very limited, So I thought, okay, here I can really have an impact,
Sure.
like a real impact. So then, I talked to my co-founder and we said, hey, like, why don't we make this volunteer project a company, but with the aim to actually fund that mission, and that's basically how AirGradient then came to be. So we incorporated like, I'm not sure, maybe 6 months after we actually started. We never had a business plan. We just said, okay, let's improve air quality monitoring to create more awareness, and with the awareness, hopefully then a reduction in pollution comes. So it's a quite unusual start of a company. What's still interesting today, like if I talk to people, typically after 5 minutes they ask me, are you actually an NGO? Are you a company? Like, because it's just a very blurry line. But we are very clear that we are a private entity, we are for profit, because we need to generate that income to then support also like our open source mission and all the community projects we do. So it's a bit like we are funding ourselves.